So looking in the book at the sheet music, you can see at the top of the page, we've got the song title, which is Gently Does It. Beneath that, to the left-hand side, it says brushes. Okay, so for this piece, we're going to be using brushes. Okay, so you don't need drumsticks at all for this piece. We're going to be using brushes all the way through. So this is a jazz piece, and as jazz drummers, we tend to use brushes quite often because sometimes the dynamics of jazz are quite low. We often play in settings where we don't want to kind of overpower the atmosphere, so we might be playing to an audience of diners that are sitting there eating, so we don't want to be too loud. So sometimes brushes just give that perfect dynamic. Okay, so very common to use them in jazz, so we need to get used to using brushes, and that's exactly what this piece does. Okay, it's just a great piece to kind of get some experience of using brushes in this particular genre. Okay, so beneath where it says brushes, it says ballad, so that's the type of song we're going to be playing. So it's a ballad, so it's a storytelling piece, quite deep and dramatic often. Okay, a ballad is. So we're playing jazz and we're playing a ballad, and then beside that it says a quarter note equals 60. So that's the tempo of the piece. So we've got a quarter note pulse, and there's going to be 60 quarter notes every minute, which means there's going to be 1 per second. So it's quite a slow tempo, this piece. Okay, so we're playing jazz, it's a ballad, and it's 60 BPM, so quite slow. So from that information, you can kind of gauge how the piece is going to be. Okay, so it kind of sets you up nicely to start playing. So you can see we've got the letter A in the box there, letting you know we're at section A. It's just above bar 1 there, so we're straight in at section A, the first section of the song. So in the first bar of music, you can see we've got the percussion clef there, letting us know it's drum notation on the stave. And then beside that, we've got the time signature. So the time signature of this piece is 4/4. 4 at the top tells us there's 4 beats in the bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the 4 at the bottom tells us each one of those beats is a quarter note. Okay, so when we see quarter notes in this music, that's going to last 1 beat. So we've got 4 quarter note beats in the bar. So quarter note, quarter note, quarter note, quarter note. Okay, so now we know that, we can get into the piece. So on the top line, we've just got a ride cymbal rhythm using quarter notes and eighth notes. Okay, now a lot of the time in jazz, we swing eighth notes, but in this piece, we're playing straight eighth notes. So our eighth notes are going to be on the downbeat, the very start of the count, and the midpoint of the count, the and. Okay, so we're playing straight eighth notes in this piece, no swinging. So for the top line on the ride cymbal, so going through those 4 bars, we've got the rhythm 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and. Okay, so we're going to play that with our right hand, so with our right brush on the ride cymbal. Okay, so remember the grip on the brushes, you want to hold nice and low. Okay, there's not really a balance point like there is on a stick, so you just need to hold it nice and low. So the metal part at the bottom here, you want to kind of get your pinky on there. Okay, that's about a nice place to hold it. And obviously there's not as much rebound as a stick either, so just make sure you're kind of pulling the brush away as well to bring the resonance out the cymbal. Okay, so let's try the top line on the ride cymbal, the right hand. Remember, keep that French grip as well, so thumb up, okay, so you're hitting that brush down onto the ride cymbal. And beneath the first bar, we've got MP, which is short for mezzo piano, half soft. So you want to make sure you're playing at that dynamic. Okay, so let's try the top line. And then moving on to the second line, so the first bar of the second line, which is bar 5, is the same as the final bar of the first line, bar 4. Okay, so we're just playing that rhythm on the ride. 1, 2 and 3, 4 and, again with the right hand. And then we come into the second bar of line 2. We've got 2 quarter notes on the ride, so we've got 1, 2, and then we've got a half note on the ride as well. Okay, so that's going to last for the 3 and the 4. Okay, the rest of the bar. And then above that ride half note, you can see there's an asterisk there. So if we go to the bottom of the page, it says notes marked with an asterisk may be played on a rivet cymbal if available. Okay, so I've got a second ride cymbal set up here. Okay, so for this whole piece, all we need is a ride cymbal and snare drum. Okay, so I've got ride here and also another ride up here. So on this ride, on my second ride, I've got this chain on the cymbal here, which when you hit it, vibrates and it lets the cymbal sizzle, gives a nice sizzle sound. Okay, now that's what rivets do to a cymbal. So if you've got a rivet cymbal, great, you can use it. If you haven't, think about getting one of these chains. Okay, they're a very kind of, well, a cheaper option than buying obviously a separate cymbal. So you can look into getting one of those chains, but if you haven't got anything that sounds like a rivet cymbal or is a rivet cymbal, obviously you can just use a normal ride cymbal, okay? You can just hit a half note here. But this style of music, it's all about kind of really putting yourself into the style of music. So these sounds like rivet cymbals give the piece, like they're just great options for jazz drummers. So I'd really sort of encourage you to either invest in a rivet cymbal for this style of music, but at least grabbing something like this, really cost-effective way of doing it. Okay, you can obviously take it off, so it's not a kind of permanent fixture to your cymbal. Okay, so get one if you can, and then you just sort of get used to these sounds and using the sounds in the music. Okay, you're going to be a better jazz drummer for it. Okay, so on that third note in that bar, the second bar of line 2, which is bar 6, we're going to hit the rivet cymbal. Okay, so I'm going to hit my second ride here with the rivet chain on it. Okay, so that bar, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you hear that sizzle there. Okay, that really adds to the music. So let's try those 2 bars. Okay, so bar 5 and 6, the first 2 bars of line 2. And then in the third bar of line 2, which is bar 7, we've got 16th notes on the snare drum. So you're going to play those as a single stroke. So we got 1 E and A. And then we got a 2 for a quarter note on the rivet cymbal again. So I'm going to hit my second ride here. Again, if you haven't got one, you can just hit your ride as normal. And then we've got the same rhythm for beats 3 and 4. So we've got, for the whole bar, 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4. Okay, so let's try that now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and beneath that bar, we've got a P, which is short for piano. So now we're down to soft. So we were at mezzo piano, half soft, so now we've come down even lower in dynamic for this bar, okay? So let's give that bar a try now at piano. And the final bar of line 2, which is bar 8, we're back to the ride cymbal for quarter notes and eighth notes again, and the rhythm for this bar is 1, 2, 3, and 4 and. Okay, so back on the ride with the right hand, and beneath the bar we've got MP, mezzo piano again, okay, just like we were for the other bars on the ride cymbal. Okay, so now let's try those 2 bars, so bars 7 and 8, the second 2 bars of line 2. And at the end of bar 8, we've got a double bar line, which tells us it's the end of a musical section. Okay, so we're going to put the whole of section A together. So we're going to go from the top, hitting those ride cymbals. Okay, make sure you're hitting the downbeats and those midpoints on the upbeat eighth notes. Then we're into the second line, where we're obviously bringing in the rivet cymbal if you've got one. Then the 16th notes on the snare drum. Make sure we change in that bar to piano, and then we're back up to mezzo piano for the final bar of section A. Okay, so let's try and put the whole of section A together. And now we'll try section A with the backing track. Okay, so remember it's a jazz ballad, so there's a lot of feel in this piece. Okay, it's very slow, so there's loads of time for you to really put your feel into it. Okay, so this is all about getting used to using brushes, okay, and getting used to the style of music that use brushes. All right, so really sort of take this song as an opportunity to put what you've learned into practice. So let's try the whole of section A with a backing track. And then we come into section B, which starts at the third line of the piece at bar 9. So you can see the letter B in a box there above bar 9, letting us know it's the start of section B. So we're back on the ride cymbal. So for the first 3 bars, we're playing something very similar to what we had in section A. We've just got quarter notes and eighth notes on the ride cymbal. So the rhythm for the first 3 bars of section B is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we come to the 4th bar, so the final bar of that line, and we've got some ties. Okay, so remember ties extend the notes, so we've got eighth notes for the first 2 counts. We've got 1 and 2 and, but we've got a tie on the end of 1. So that tie is tied to the 2, the eighth note on the 2, so we don't play the 2, we let the note ring for the 2. So we play 1 and. That's what we play on the ride cymbal, so let's try those first 2 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so the note on the ride cymbal is ringing for that 2, okay? So there shouldn't be no sound there. We're going to make sure that note on the end of 2, where the tie starts, rings through the 2 as well, okay? So you've got 1 and for the second half of the bar, we've got 3 and 4 for the rhythm, and you can see again we've got a tie on the upbeat of 3 on the and that's tied to the quarter note. So we're going to hit the 3 and the and of 3, and then we're going to let it ring, the end of 3 ring for the 4 as well. So we just hit the 3 and. So the second half is 1, 2. Okay, so that whole bar, the rhythm you actually hit is 1 and 3 and. Okay, and just let those notes ring where the tied notes are. Okay, so that bar we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to give that line a try, the whole of the first line of section B, so bars 9, 10, 11 and 12. So now we come onto the final line of the piece. So in the first 3 bars, again, we just got a ride cymbal rhythm. We're using quarter notes and eighth notes. So the rhythm for the first 3 bars of the final line is 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then in the second from last bar, which is bar 16, we've got a quarter note rest on 1, so we just rest on the 1, and then we've got 2 ride bells on the 2 and the 3 for a quarter note. Okay, now for the ride bell, you can hit them with your brushes, give it a nice high pitch sound, or you've also got the option of hitting it with this metal part here. Okay, if you've got a metal hoop or a metal, sometimes there's a metal triangle or part that you pull to bring the brushes back in and out. Okay, you can hit the bell with this, because obviously it's a thick piece of metal, so you really hear it. Okay, so those 2 options, either with the brushes itself, with the wires, or the bottom. Okay, so either option's fine for those 2 quarter notes, and then on the final quarter note, on the 4 of that bar, you've got a rivet cymbal being played again if you've got one, and you've got an accent above that note, so you hit that note with more emphasis so it really stands out. And it's also got a tie on it, and it's tied to a whole note in the final bar. Okay, so that quarter note on 4 on the rivet cymbal is going to ring for the quarter note on 4 and also the whole note of the next bar. So it's really got to ring through to finish the piece. And you can see above the whole note we've got a fermata, so that means to pause. All right, so we need to hold the note there. So it's really got to ring through for quite a duration. So make sure you hit that rivet cymbal with the accent to make sure it does ring through that final bar as well. Okay, so let's try the final 2 bars of the piece where we're hitting the ride bells and that rivet cymbal, letting it ring through to finish the piece. Those final 2 bars. And now we'll try the whole of the final line. So now we'll put the whole of section B together, okay? So those 2 lines from bar 9 to the end of the piece, which is bar 17. And now we'll try section B with the backing track. So again, really throw yourself into this piece and really kind of feel the ballad and feel the emotion of the music. Okay, you've got loads of time between the downbeats, obviously, because it's at 60 BPM, nice and slow. So really evoke the feel of the piece. Okay, so let's try section B with the backing track. So now we're going to put the whole piece together, so both sections A and B. Okay, so make sure you're keeping the rhythm on that ride cymbal comfortably, because obviously it's a slow tempo. Okay, so make sure you're holding the tempo, you're not speeding up or slowing down. Don't forget the dynamic changes. Okay, you're at mezzo piano and piano for different parts of the piece. And then obviously add in those effects if you've got the option to, those rivet hits. Okay, so let's try sections A and B. And now we're going to play the whole piece in time with the backing track. Okay, so remember, this piece is all about getting acquainted to using brushes in this style of music, so a nice slow jazz ballad. Okay, so really put yourself into the music, really feel it inside, okay, internally. Okay, the soul of the music, that's what you want to feel. It's nice and slow, it's a ballad, so there's lots of kind of feel in it. So make sure you're really feeling that and you're portraying it in your playing. Okay, so let's give the whole piece a go in time with the backing track.